This is a short video on the AQA Elizabethan England topic, and especially the historical environment question, question 4, just in case that at some point you do have to face this question in some sort of in-school assessment. We're going to look at how I plan any 16 marker with the pyramid system that encourages students to bring in other factors to discuss alongside the factor in the question. So therefore we get a balanced answer. Now, to plan our answer, we're going to use this pyramid diagram. At the top of the pyramid, this is where we discuss showing wealth and status of the owner as being the main reason. So we're discussing the factor that is in the question. We then bring in, if you look at the bottom left part of the pyramid, another factor. If we look at the bottom right, we then bring in a third possible factor. And the part in the middle represents our conclusion, our overall summary, where we discuss once again with our overall decision whether wealth and status of the owner is the main reason for castles like Kenilworth being built during Elizabethan times. Now, what can we discuss to support the statement in the question? Well, Dudley was very extravagant, and we know that he spent £40,000 on a party on Elizabeth's last visit. This could be seen as a sign of showing off his wealth, but it could also be his generosity as he tried to impress Elizabeth to gain her hand in marriage, something which, of course, we know he failed to do. One of the expensive features was the gatehouse, built in 1570. This was to impress visitors when they first enter the gates. Let's bring in another factor. So in other words, let's see if there were other reasons why Kenilworth Castle and other castles were built during Elizabethan times. Well, whilst Dudley spent around £40,000 on festivities for the Queen's last visit in 1575, this was in fact to be her last visit. So if Dudley had made changes to Kenilworth Castle for the Queen's visit after this date, it would have been redundant. The Queen continued to visit Dudley in his London and Wanstead houses after 1576, but not Kenilworth. Architecture at the time was influenced by French Chateau of Amboise. This image of a medieval fortress, along with the Renaissance architecture, gave it a chivalric and courtly look, familiar to romantic medieval literature. So there's a couple of ideas there for the second paragraph. Now, what can we possibly put in the third? Well, refurbishments were made after 1569. Now, we should hopefully remember that the Northern Rebellion took place in that year. So maybe this was an attempt to fortify the castle rather than showing off wealth. Robert Dudley had an illegitimate son named Robert. This meant that he could not make his son the rightful heir. So any later improvements to the castle would have been with the intention of leaving an inheritance. We're going to look at a first paragraph of an answer that I've provided, which analyses and discusses the factor in the question. Feel free to finish the answer by writing a second and third paragraph, each with another factor that you can balance against the factor in the question, and then a conclusion to sum up. But let's see what we could possibly come up with a first paragraph to support the statement in the question. Well, the wealth and status of the owner was one of the main reasons that castles such as Kenilworth Castle were built in Elizabethan England. Robert Dudley had spent £40,000 on a party for Elizabeth's last visit to the castle. This could have been to show off his wealth as well as his generosity, as he tried to impress Elizabeth and gain her hand in marriage. When the visitors entered the castle, they would have first seen the gatehouse, which was an expensive feature added in 1570. This shows that Dudley may have wanted to show his affluence to his visitors. Furthermore, wealth and status was important to courtiers like Dudley that were to play an important role in defeating the Spanish Armada in 1588. The wealth of the nobility and gentry showed England's rivals that it was a major economic power. Now, the historical environment question changes every year, and this year it's about Kenilworth Castle. The content of this video might still be of some use to you because Kenilworth Castle becomes the arena for Elizabeth and Robert Dudley's relationship, whether that was a romantic relationship or not. That then opens up discussion about other things in this topic as well, like the succession crisis. If she was to marry Dudley, what would the relationship be like with her other ministers? And remember the way she ruled her government and made herself the centre of her government by using the divide and rule tactic. Would divide and rule had worked had Elizabeth married one of her courtiers, like Dudley? Until next time, stay safe.